and how we can improve, how we can get our young people playing our games and competing, because now you're competing against other sports and you have to provide the facilities, and that's what we're about here, and the club's thinking the way forward, and this is what the year's about.
4 times Dunloy have played in All Ireland Club finals without success, but it hasn't dampened their enthusiasm.
Having short, having quick, but to play the parish back and the whole thing again. Let's go, lads, come on.
It really is the life and soul of the parish, and the hurling and the football means so much to us parish. The love we have for the game is no different than it would be in Kerry or Cork.
Can you imagine life without hurling in Dunloy?
There'd be no life, Marty, to tell you the truth. Like, to say that there'd be no GA life in Dunloy, that would be a ghost town, be a sad place.
Yes, that report from Marty Morrissey. Now here in studio, Cyril and Michael are still with us, and we're also joined at this stage by Dinny Cahill, who is the Antrim hurling manager. Dinny, if I could start with you, a Tipperary man up managing the Antrim team, as I said. We know, I guess, Dinny, a lot of the difficulties that have to be surmounted up there. A small hurling population. We say in the case of Antrim, the hurling is up at the very tip of the island, if you like. If you were to pick out 1 or 2 things that Ulster hurling could do to improve itself, what might they be?
Well, I suppose you'd have to broaden the base of it, like make sure that try and get more counties participating in the Ulster Championship. Well, there is, I'll have to check it there, there's hurling in Belfast in the city.
No, I know that, yes, yeah, so, but we're taking, say, the Cushion Dolls, the Dunloys, for example.
Yeah. There's a lot of work being done in Antrim, I know that, and they're working very hard at the grassroots level. But I'd like to see the other counties, the likes of Derrys and the Downs and the Armaghs, because there's lots of hurling in them counties, and there should be more work done in them counties. And if
what kind of work?
Well, to start at underage level and start at 6 and 7 years of age and work up from there, and then try and get them introduced into the Arabon under 16 competitions. And then, as Marty said there earlier, like to try and introduce them into the likes of Antrims and into the Leinster Championship. If they're in the senior, they should be in the minor championship as well.
A lot of people, Michael Duignan, were greatly taken, obviously. You weren't necessarily yourself back in 1989, that All-Ireland semi-final win by Antrim over your own county. But that's 21 years ago now. And I was reading a piece by Sample McNaughton recently, who was saying, that Antrim hurling, in his view, has gone backwards since that. And would that be kind of a fair comment about hurling in Ulster?
Well, I think, Antrim at that stage, obviously got to an All-Ireland final, had some very, very good players, and you'd be hoping after getting to a final, they'd kick on from that and get back into more All-Ireland finals and stay at that level. And the opposite happened for whatever reason. Maybe a lot of those lads were on the road for quite a while at that stage, and as Jim Nelson said there, they got well beaten in the final as well by Tipperary, and it was seen more as a novelty, I think, that we're in the final rather than, they didn't really back it up later. But I think a lot of the issues facing Antrim are facing a lot of other counties as well.
Well, OK, it might have been a bit of a novelty, Cyril Farrell, but being in an All-Ireland final, I remember the buzz of the time. There was great excitement about that thing. And that should help you to push on. It should help you to go back and say, listen, if we can do that, we can do something more.
Well, yeah, and a lot of counties can get caught in that. Like, you can have great success at senior level, or as they Antrim did, get into a senior final and not build underneath. And that's what Denny's on about. A young fella, Michael, if he's going to be a good hurler, should have a hurler in his hand at 4 or 5 years of age. Now, I'd be saying to the parents, if they're interested in hurling, instead of getting them a kind of a little computer at that stage, or even a mobile phone they have now at 6 or 7 years of age, get them a hurl, get them a pair of boots, and a hurl that they're able to hurl with. The right length of a hurl, the right, not a big hurl, and get them in that way, because they have to get their wrists. And looking at that there, so it's hard to believe that was, say, 1989. But you kind of asked the question. I was involved the year before. Galway happened to win All Ireland, and we didn't win one since. That's 22 years ago. So Antrim, the northern counties have problems. Ulster, but what about Connacht? Like, Galway are strong in Connacht, or we think we are, but what about the rest of Connacht? Now, there's hurling in every county, and there is great work being done by Croke Park. You had, say, Carlow this year winning the Christie Ring. You had the likes of Meath coming through in the Nicky record, and you had Tyrone winning the Lowry Maher. Now, they are very good. And the club structure, say, last night you had Blackrock, great celebrations in Limerick, winning their first Junior All-Ireland in Croke Park, and in St. Laxton's Kilkenny winning the intermediate. That's great, but you have to get them all them young fellas start at a young age, and hurling is a game that you have to take up young if you're going to be successful at it. And that's why then that tape there, they were talking about putting the coaches into Ulster, which is great, and they're doing it region-wise now, which makes sense, but they have to start at a very young age.
But another thing that came out of Marty's report there, Dinny, was about the minor championship. Antrim are in the Leinster Championship, but not in the minor championship.
Yeah, I think it would stand to Antrim if they were. But then it's very hard to turn your back on the Downs and the Derrys that are taking part in that competition as well.
Sure.
And like if you look at Down in particular, hurling is on the Ards Peninsula. And after that, I think the hurling people should have to spread out and try and get hurling to most parishes and try and get them playing hurling, better hurling at a younger age and work from there.
But if there isn't a tradition of hurling in places, how difficult is that to do?
Well, it's difficult enough because the first thing you have to do, you have to get to the parents and then you take it from there, get it to the schools.
The dominant sport in most counties in Ulster is Gaelic football, and that's not going to change. Armagh, Down, you can talk about it here all we want, and it's not going to happen. You're talking about Antrim is about the only county in Ulster where hurling is at least on a par with football, maybe a bit ahead of it, and football is St.
If you're being truthful about it, Michael, as well, the football powers that see hurling as a hindrance in the football counties, and the same in the hurling counties. So hurling counties, strong hurling counties, say, okay, they put up with football, say, it's a kind of, we don't really, it's impinging. If it's taking good players away, they'll say, listen, make up your mind, that's what's going to happen. But it's pity, I know what you're saying, Dinny, about, say, competing in Ulster for Antrim, but I remember around 1983, and Antrim actually beat, I think, Kilkenny in a minor championship, because Dublin came out of Leinster, and we and Galway were lucky enough to beat Dublin in the All Ireland final. Set was around that time.
Niall Quinn was on that Dublin team.
Yeah, you see, so they were competing at that stage, and they did beat Kilkenny, but there's no second chance at them. If you won, you won, and if you lost, you were gone.
And geographically, if you want to challenge a match in Antrim, if Dunloy want to challenge a match with someone, where are they going to go? Into the Down teams play in the Antrim League, we're down in Offaly, Tip, Kilkenny, wherever, Wexford, Cork, you have loads of teams on your borders, an hour away, travel, you can get a great match with anybody. They have no place to go for a match, so they're playing within themselves, trying to broaden the base Dinny is talking about, but it's very, very difficult, and it's going to take an awful lot of hard work. But I would think that in the likes of Antrim and Down, where there's a strong hurling basis, concentrate on that, but I think they're wasting their time in a lot of the other stronger football counties. It's not going to happen.
Michael and Cyril rose the point there about the standard of hurling generally, Dinny, mentioning, say, Galway in the West, one county kind of hasn't won All Ireland for yonks and so on. Would you be concerned about hurling? Michael's own county, Offaly, has gone back
maybe
for a couple of years anyway.
I think every county will have a dip, and but hurling, I think, at inter-county level has improved immensely. I have a good team of men with me this year now in Antrim. I have 2 men from Cork and Gregory Kane, and we feel that we stand a great chance to compete and be up there with the top teams. A lot of work has to go in, and I think the first thing you have to get into their heads that they have to work hard to get up to that level. When God creates hurlers, He doesn't put all in Kilkenny or Cork. These fellas are born in every county, and how you work on their talents is the job from there on. It's up to everyone to work on what talents young fellas have, and I think there's some good players in Antrim, and we can work on them.
We're all very enthused about the standard of hurling, say, come the championship in the summertime, some of the great games, see them live in the Sunday game. What about club hurling? What about club hurling at grassroots levels?
Well, it's strong on some counties, you look at the Kilkenny Championship or the Galway Championship. They mightn't all be strong, but there's some great players at club level. You look at Henry there today, or TJ Reid, or these guys. You look at the likes of Joe Cannon there today taking reps. These guys are marquee players, or Ollie Cannon. You have as good a club hurlers as ever had. But sometimes, Michael, the top club hurler may not make a county hurler. Now, maybe in the lesser counties he'd definitely be on, but you go to the top counties and you'd often say to yourself, how come that fella isn't on the county team? He'd be a great club hurler. The older club players say it was better years ago. But I think you have to judge what's there in front of you. And definitely, you look today now, say Newtown and Ballyhale, it's a great match. And you look forward to look at the match Portumna and Ballyhale is going to be. That's a mouth-watering game. And I think that'll be as good as club final as any club final.
All right, lads. Well, we hope that the standard of hurling continues to flourish, or does flourish, in Ulster. And Dinny, best luck with Antrim. You're doing a good job up there.
Oh, we're trying.
Right. Thanks very much. Now, next here on the programme, a quick look ahead to what's coming up in sport on RTÉ television during the week. Well, Against the Head is our weekly rugby magazine programme. Tomorrow night we'll be looking back on the events that took place in the Six Nations Championship. And if you can bear to watch, it's at 8 o'clock. The Champions League on Wednesday night comes back with the first leg matches in this year's quarter-finals. Now, our featured game is Porto against Arsenal, with highlights of Bayern Munich and Fiorentina. And then next weekend, it's Premier Soccer Saturday. Action from some of the day's top matches, including Everton versus Manchester United. And that begins at 8 o'clock. OK, it's time for us to go here on Sunday Sport for this week. My thanks once again to Cyril, to Michael, and of course to Dinny Cahill for being with me here in the studio. Now, next week here on the programme, it's the All Ireland Club Football semi-finals, while in hurling, it's a repeat of last September's All Ireland final. Hope you can join me for that. In the meantime, take care.
Why don't you call me up and we'll talk? let you go. Now you're gone cold.